Hello, everybody. Welcome back to First Time Donor. This is the charity gaming podcast where we talk all about the wonderful ways that you can do good in the world with what you have right now. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Monika. Monika, say hi.
Hey, it's great to be back. We had a small hiatus,
We
but we had a
did.
fantastic marathon that went really well. And now we're so happy to have our first episode back with TabetaiCooking and Monostache.
Yeah. Thank you guys both so much for being our guests. Thank you for agreeing to be on the show. Yeah, go ahead and
thank you for having us. This is a huge honor. Thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Why don't you just jump in? We got everything out of the way. Cool. Monika, you wanna lead with a question, perhaps?
Sure. So we know both TabetaiCooking and Monostache are Zeldathon team members. Tabetai, obviously, very, very fun cooking streams. And Monostache, you can tell just by the background alone in her setup. Fantastic crafter, very talented artist and graphic designer. Always a pleasure to catch both of your streams. And so to start us off, how did you both get into Twitch, and when did you first delve into charity gaming?
Oh boy. Well, I definitely got into Twitch first, and I think I had these designs on being like a cooking YouTuber. Like I really wanted to make like edited cooking recipe videos and that sort of thing. And then a good friend talked me into Twitch instead, and so I did that just sort of like as a summer project and kept it going for a few extra months. And I was like, I'm not so sure if this is something I want to keep doing or not. And then I found out that St. Jude was offering purple aprons for people that participated in their creative season in 2019. I was like, I need a purple apron. So that was how I did my first charity campaign, and I got the purple apron, and then I was like, wow, I don't think I should ever stop doing this now. So
I want to point out too that he had his goal was very low, and I had to talk him into raising it. I think, what was it, just originally $100?
It was $100. Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. My end goal was $150, and I had a community of like 7 people back then. And I was like, okay, guys, we hit $150. I'm going to shave my beard on stream.
Whoa.
And we hit $2,700. And I was like, well, there's no way I can get out of that. So I have to shave my beard on stream. I'll never do that again. But
wow.
It was kind of amazing. Like, I didn't realize that Twitch had such a culture of charity fundraising and stuff ahead of time. So stepping into it just completely unaware, it was really shocking to see that there was that much support that existed. So, my wife was right.
I'm so happy that you had, Amanda as the producer MVP there, just convincing you to bump it up. And then that's crazy because I met you at the St. Jude Play Live Summit in 2019. So that was so soon after, and that's even before.
4 months later, right?
Yeah, and that's crazy.
I remember how quickly things started to turn around at that point. Because in the month of November, I think it was like $2,900, and then by December 5th, I had gotten an email from St. Jude like, "Hey, we really want to invite you to the summit." And then, Monika was like the first friend I made there, and it was wild. It was like really wild how quickly that turned around. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, like streaming is so much fun. I've met so many cool people. Like I'm in it now. I'm committed." And so that was a really formative experience for me, not just like as a charity fundraiser, but also I think as a person and how I approach streaming as a hobby / job, a jobby.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy that I got to meet you there. And then, because like immediately after that, I was like, hey, I met this really cool person here at Tabetai. And I know Monostache is awesome as well. And I think they're 2 people who would be fantastic on the Zeldathon team, which kind of leads me into another question. So before you got involved both in the Zeldathon team, you're involved in the 8-bit community, which is co-founded by, I believe, your podcast co-host, Graham, Minnesota Taz, Chris, and his wife, the Hot Dish.
Yes, and their mutual friend Boz, who is a British Minecraft streamer.
Whoa.
And we've been involved with them. I don't know. We've been doing collabs with them since 2019 too, right, Amanda?
We've been doing stuff with them a long time. They formed their team, like officially Twitch team. What was just 6 months ago or something? Not too long ago. But like before they were an official team, they still had a big community and we were doing stuff with them. We collaborate really well with Chris and Devin, Minnesota Taz, and the Hot Dish. We just sort of like mesh really well. Like they're in a lot of ways, their personalities are like mirrors of ours.
Yeah, they've got that awesome. They've got that married couple power.
So we're like really good at like collaborating with them and like just sort of feeding off each other's energy. Works really well, especially when we're doing stuff specifically with them, but we also done stuff with like the whole team as well, especially this last Play Live season. We did stuff like with the whole team and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The Hot Ones stream that you collabed on was fantastic. I had a ton of fun harassing you all with questions.
yeah, like Canadian trivia, I think.
I asked them for context to please explain the process in which maple taffy is made, knowing that none of them are Canadian. Like none of them are gonna know what maple taffy is. Great.
I don't know what maple taffy is. I'm gonna be honest.
It's funny you should mention. I'm actually drinking out of my Tim Hortons mug like right now.
Oh, let's go. Timmy Hoes.
One of my sisters moved to Canada a while back, so I like to think I'm like distantly Canadian.
Honorary Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, we got involved with them. Like it was kind of one of those things. Minnesota Taz found Graham first because he's also a cooking streamer, and pretty much I think was just determined, I am going to be friends with this man, and then he made it so. And then the Hot Dish and we wound up having a bunch of really weird connections. Like she always says ma'am and I always say sir. We both love Jeff Goldblum a lot.
Oh, understandable.
We love flannel. Like we just had these like really weird connections and we're like, obviously we're destined to be friends.
Of course.
So it kind of like worked so well because of that, and that's also exactly why we do really well collaborating with each other, is because like we are really good personalities with each other.
That's awesome. I am curious. Earlier there we mentioned a little bit of that married couple power. Did you two find kind of like streaming through each other, or was like one of you into it before that kind of influenced the other? Like what was the dynamic there?
I just stole all of Graham's community members.
100%.
Yeah, Graham streamed first, did it for a couple months, and then I was like, well, this seems fun, and I'll stream. It pretty much is like, for the most part, it's just an extension of his community, which is great because we have a great community. Everybody's really positive. We're kind of like a family. So it's like, I'm like, I don't really need anybody else. Like I have a few people that come in, from like outside of it, but yeah, I just shamelessly steal all of my husband's viewers.
Well, the more responsible way to phrase this, I think, is that Amanda made frequent appearances on my stream, because anytime I make food on stream, I'm always like, we need to make sure this passes the Amanda test, right?
Of course.
So she would come in and sample it and tell me yes, no. Normally it's pretty good. We're not going to talk about the cauliflower pizza today.
How did you mess up cauliflower pizza?
I love cauliflower pizza, but I found out my wife despises it. So.
Oh, all right. That's understandable.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what happened was, as she became like sort of a popular side character on my channel, we saw like an increased sort of demand for like people wanted to watch Amanda do Amanda things, and so crafting and doing graphic design on stream, and eventually started gaming. And I would say, rather than she stole my views, she's developed a community of her own, and people go to Amanda for some things, they go to me for other things, and it's kind of, we have sort of a multi-channel community. I like it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you two have such a phenomenal balance, just because watching Graham's cooking streams, Amanda, you're always there producing, and you just add so much to it when you have like the screen cut to Graham makes a mess, and it brings so much more. It's so good. I love it. Like every time I get cracked up.
It helps too that Graham gets that sort of like he makes that really elaborated or exasperated sort of expression, so that helps a lot.
That's not played up for the camera, by the way. It's I give her this power and she overuses it. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. Because cooking streams are so involved, and like I don't know your setup if you're using a Stream Deck when you're doing that, or if it's just everything is run by Amanda, but it's phenomenal. Like it seamlessly comes together.
Thank you. Yeah, we do use 2 Stream Decks.
Ooh.
One is an official Elgato Stream Deck. The other is one of these. It's like a little 13-key keypad.
Looks like a calculator.
Yeah, exactly. These are $12 on Amazon. I just went ahead and like bought one, and I can press buttons on here and it'll turn stuff off and on in OBS. So we both really have a Stream Deck on us.
Right.
So we can sort of collaborate on effects and sounds and that sort of thing. So
right.
A lot of practice, a lot of behind the scenes tech that I should make a video on sometime. It'd be cool to do
setup alone.
Yeah, really.
Do like a background tech tour. I think would be kind of cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
And for our audio only listeners, that was a Jellycomb product, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
for those who didn't see him, Graham hold this thing up to the camera.
It's like the 10-key USB wireless keyboard attachment.
Awesome.
So
it's kind of smart. Nice budget option.
Yeah. That would be such a good idea for a video, because I know our previous guest and fellow team member Romscout has mentioned that he's getting interested in possibly doing a cooking stream, and he's like, I have no idea where to start for how to angle the camera and like how to set up the mic.
It's tough.
You actually don't just hear dishes clanging and you hear me. I'm like, I think they all have like lapel mics. Like cooking streamers, they've got it like done, like down to the T. It's so well produced.
You want production? Yeah, you want production quality on Twitch? Watch cooking streamers. Like they got it down. They know the secrets.
And I mean, like as proud as I am of my setup, I think I'm still at like just about the 50th percentile for complexity.
Wow.
Because I mean, if you need to learn how to do cable control at all, like hire a cooking streamer. Because, like, the over the stove camera, like the cable like runs through the cabinets and up over the ceiling, and it's wild the amount of different setups that you see. And I mean, I just started. Like my advice is always just start it and see what you need.
Right.
But my first setup was like a little plastic kickstand for my cell phone just on top of the fridge, and it looked down over the back of my head as I was cooking at the stove. So yeah, like now that I have a multi-camera setup and nice microphones, it feels nice.
That's awesome.
Feels nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in your podcast and the live feed, and go subscribe if you're listening to ours. Make sure you
Very good.
go listen to that one. It's phenomenal.
As soon as you're done subscribing here, yes.
It's all about streaming on Twitch, but not just gaming. It's about doing other types of streams. But you had a phenomenal piece of advice where it was, if you're interested in getting into cooking streaming, make sure you have decent audio quality, because God, you don't want to just hear food sizzling. You want to hear someone talking about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's good advice for any stream, really, to kind of worry about audio first.
Of course.
I think anybody that's been streaming more than a couple months would agree that like it's always audio that goes wrong.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong stream to stream, it's almost always audio.
Oh yeah.
And so getting that system hammered down is really helpful for everyone, but especially cooking streamers.
For sure. To provide a little context from the filmmaking side of things too, it's like it's kind of like the the side by side of like, here's the same video, one with kind of iffy video quality and one with kind of iffy audio quality, like which one is more noticeable? And obviously it's the audio. So that's a very good piece of advice for sure.
Absolutely.
So the next question that I had for each of you was, obviously you were involved in a community streaming aspect before you got involved in the Zeldathon team. So what similarities and differences did you find fundraising on your own in a community setting while solo streaming, and versus an in-person event like Zeldathon?
There is nothing quite like an in-person event like Zeldathon.
True.
Also, if you could give your first impressions of when you walked into Zeldathon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna sweat just remembering. So yeah, I guess we arrived on Mars Christmas Day for our first Zeldathon Forces, and we were advised to get as much rest as we can that first night, right? Because the next day and I think it was unusual that first day of setup because we were actually building the set that we were setting up.
Right. Yeah. That's when we built the set.
And I remember working. about
We're so
16
lucky to
hours
get
that
you
day.
too. Oh my god.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's satisfying, you know. It's like really, it's like
Yeah.
really gratifying to like get that much done in a single day. And I think like
Yeah.
Amanda and I used to do cosplay,
Ooh.
and it was so much like having sort of a grind period on your costume,
Right.
where you're just getting as much. Yeah, you're like, I've got one day off before the convention. I'm going to try and get as much done as I can. Like it was that same sort of atmosphere, and I feel like we sort of fell into the pattern of crafting that we used to use all the time.
I specifically use some of these skills I got from because Clinkett and I, Clinkett's another team member, does cooking streams. She and I went shopping, and I was like, I know how to get all the best deals. I know how we're gonna organize this. Like
Amanda had her apps, her coupon apps, and everything ready to go.
Yeah. And I was like, what discounts can we get and whatnot. So like that was like definitely things that I've learned from doing cosplay. And Clint was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could save so much money at the craft store.
Seriously, we were so lucky to have you two there when we were building the set. You two were honestly instrumental because, like, Graham, I don't know how to use an electric drill, and just having Amanda help on like coaching and making the set walls look authentic. Like, I know it was us tag teaming on building the walls. We did really good on the painting, but like
the walls look so
good.
good.
My god, you two are so talented. Like, we really didn't realize we were gonna be that lucky to have you there. And yeah, it takes a small village to build the Zeldathon.
It really does.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
I thank you for the kind words, but oh man, like I wouldn't have gotten anything done had it not been for Melv and Infantino Doug and Bon and everybody that was helping. So it was definitely a group effort.
For sure.
I think the secret, and Amanda, feel free to back me up on this, to developing a lot of life skills, is just you have to wait until you're old.
A lot of it is just experience. You just get to do different things and you learn how to do new stuff. You know, and and we just had some very unique experiences brought there because we cosplayed for many years. I specifically helped run a lot of events at conventions, which called a lot of planning. So a lot of those were just like skills that just sort of built up to help for this kind of event. And it's like very gratifying. Like Graham and I were talking about that set. We still talk about that set where it's like, can we just like make a set like that in our house? Like I just
I want that so bad.
I want the cool dungeon walls and like, and because it's like foam, it's like would actually be really good for like sound quality.
It's soundproofing in addition to looking cool. It's it's so useful.
I like once we're not in an apartment, that might actually happen at our house.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
The set, it was such a quality of life upgrade for Zeldathon.
Oh yeah.
And I think I think learning more about any chance that we have to apply existing skills that we have while learning about set design and learning what a set upright is and how to balance it. Not only do I feel like I was able to help, but I learned a ton about how to improve my own production while I was at Zeldathon. It was fantastic. So there's nothing quite like a live Zeldathon event. To come back around to the question.
There's a lot of energy there that it's just you can't match it exactly in like a solo setting sort of thing at home. And we've seen that, because we've been doing Zeldathon at home, and you still have fun. It has a different energy to it, and I think both have like benefits to it. When you're at home, you have like kind of your own control your environment. You're a bit more comfortable, but it doesn't have the sort of fun chaos that can happen when you just have like a bunch of nerds in one room.
You can't all just decide to go like jump in the hotel pool at 4 a.m. You know, like that.
Like you do, right?
As you do.
I'm so happy we all had the set as a way to get to know each other too before the marathon started. So then, like you said, you could feel out the crazy energy. You're like, this is gonna be an experience. And then like you get like the late night Zeldathon feel, you get the early morning feel. There's totally different atmospheres for it, but
early morning Zeldathon is wild.
I remember one of the first tips I got from Monika was she was like, okay, well, don't feel pressured to wake up early to get to the free breakfast. The move is actually to stay up super late and get it when it opens.
You gave them that advice, really?
Oh, yeah. I want to make sure they came in prepared.
Come on.
Look it out.
I did that at least twice.
Just because we do it doesn't mean it's a good idea. Like,
Graham and Amanda have the advantage as well because they're on Pacific time, so they have that like trump card coming in too. They're like, oh, staying up late is easy mode. Yeah,
your clock is like already semi-adjusted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just exist perpetually in a state of varied sleeplessness. So Zeldathon was like just putting on a well-worn glove. It was fantastic.
True.
Yeah.
Then I was really happy that you like it was, albeit a very like tiny way of showing it off, but you and Clinkett got to have the microwave brownie bake-off, which was phenomenal. That was like such a fun last-minute incentive goal that was snuck in there.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was like, it got talked up so much by Jiggy, who was hosting the late night, the Zeldathon late night show.
Of course.
And he was just like, we really need a cooking segment. What do you guys have? And I remember we came up with the name Two Ugly Mugs, like on the spot.
That's so good. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I really love the name. And then I was like, oh, well, we don't have any cooking equipment. How can we possibly do a cooking segment? And then I was like, oh, well, we can do like microwave cakes, right? And
so cool.
For somebody out there may not have made these before. It's like a coffee mug, but you essentially make a cake mix that goes into the coffee mug, and then you microwave it, and then you can just eat it with a spoon. And so if you're really craving cake at 2 a.m. for reasons, you can have just a little single serving of cake.
Yeah.
And we played it up like Clinkett, who is also a cooking streamer, was going to be kind of grossed out by it, and I was going to be overly enthusiastic, and Jiggy was going to be Jiggy.
Of course.
And it went over really well, I feel like. I'm excited to bring that one back.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember what the verdict was when you two tasted them, but they actually smelled really good when the door opened.
Yeah.
I remember just standing off to the side and like,
I think that they did taste pretty good, but Clinkett, I remember, made like the perfect stinky face. Like she was like,
I went out of my way because she was so busy that week. I was like, look, like the only thing you have to worry about doing is reacting poorly when you taste it, no matter what it tastes like. And so that was a little bit of theater, but it actually wasn't bad. Actually, was not bad. I feel like if you gave me the choice between eating that in about 90 seconds or heating up the whole house baking an actual cake, I would choose the mug.
Yeah.
Probably about 8 times out of 10.
So I guess at your first Zeldathon, were there any other standout goals or particularly zany moments?
Ooh.
Amanda, do you want to tell the goose and Vito story?
Yeah, I'll say there was just we got into the incentives where it was like we would add. For one of them, it was the goose, because that was when Goose Game was huge, and the other one was different Danny DeVitos, and Clinkett and I printed them out, and then we edited them to like make like really dumb variations.
There's like Super Saiyan Danny DeVito and Danny DeVito as the goose from the Untitled Goose Game.
We made the masks from Majora's Mask for them at some point, like all of them.
Yeah, there was
how many Dannys did you make? Do you think?
There were they like covered the wall, so it must have been like
you were in there for like 6 hours cutting them out.
I was just in the zone. I was in the Danny DeVito. Yeah.
Do you remember those little pieces of paper that we had that had the face on it, and under it said like "You've been DeVito'd"?
Yes.
I found one of those in my phone case the other day, like 2 years after the fact. I never knew it was in there. I don't know who put that in there, but thank you. You brought a smile to my face.
You got DeVito'd.
I did. I got DeVito'd.
The people got behind it, and we like another aspect of how lucky we were to have you coming on with your zany editing abilities too, which I really appreciated in your St. Jude fundraising stream when you did the Moira makeup and then you had the hilarious Moira edit after. Oh my god, that was phenomenal.
Good.
Yeah, that was that's a lot of fun. Like I had a high not milestone. It was an incentive. It was like if you donate a good chunk of money, you can choose the makeup they'll do. And we had one that was like a cat, and then I think it was actually Bonds the Bard donated. It was like, make yourself into Moira, and I'm like, okay.
Let's go.
And I remember, I think I spent like 45 minutes just like contouring to get those really like
cheekbones.
And that was a lot of fun.
That was a phenomenal incentive for that and like just the fact that you went above and beyond with the edit after. I was in shambles because I remember I was watching the stream. I saw the start and then I came back at the end and I saw that and like, oh my god.
Yeah, hashtag thanks graphic design degree. This is what I'm done with.
Oh yeah.
So AJ, I know you mentioned you had a few questions for Graham about broadcast type stuff or for cooking stream setup stuff.
Right. I wanted, as someone who is a big fan of cooking, it's kind of like, if you had asked me that question, 2 years ago, I would not have been. But that became kind of my pandemic hobby that has not stopped. A year and a half later. So yeah, I'm just like, because we are the charity gaming podcast, right? So I guess this is a little bit out of our realm, but I still think it's important to talk about. Just like for because this doesn't necessarily have to just apply to cooking, right? Like you could have a really zany setup, like I know Super Lewis, right, who was one of our guests during SideQuest, has done a lot of stuff with really zany setups that's still gaming involved. Like I think he made a video game
stream.
Huh?
Did you see the pizza making?
I was gonna say that because didn't he like use the pizza as a game controller or something?
Oh my god!
Yeah, so he rigged up a makey and had it connected to pieces of pizza, so different pieces were different movements, and then to heal, he had to take a bite and eat the one piece of pizza.
Oh my god!
Phenomenal.
That's insane.
So that is a very convoluted way of saying this can apply to more than just cooking. But I would just love, and this is entirely me personally, my bias is coming through, but I would just love to hear you talk about your setup. Like where did you come from? Where did you start at and where are you now? I know you mentioned having your iPhone on top of the fridge. I'm sure it's not still that from what I've seen.
Well, I thought about adding it back, and we're calling that like the retro view. But we'll see if I actually commit to that. Yeah, right now I've got a 4-camera setup, one mirrorless, one DSLR, one GoPro, and one webcam.
Wow.
Everything is captured via HDMI where applicable. And we've got 2 stream decks, like I mentioned before, 2 microphones. One is a lapel mic, the other is the Rode Pod mic I'm talking on now.
Sure.
Both are hooked up to the same USB interface, hooked up to my computer. And that's the basic tech that I use. I would say that's probably way more than the average cooking streamer uses.
Sure.
But it's, for me, I have a lot of people come to my stream and talk about cooking as art, and I always disagree with that. I think streaming is actually where the artistry and the creativity come in. So on the stream deck, we've got different things we can plug in. If I spill something, either Amanda or one of my mods can trigger this in chat. They have a title card that comes up and it just says Graham makes a mess and plays some music that interrupts whatever I'm doing. I've got another one where if I don't swear on stream, but if swears, I do run a family-friendly channel, and if swears happen in chat, we have a button that interrupts the stream and has a short video of a woman who is very offended while watching her laptop. And then there's like a video of her calling some mysterious number on her phone and complaining. We've got different explosions, different sound effects we can queue up. And I'm adding stuff to it all the time. We've actually got, what did I say I was adding next, Amanda? I can't remember. I gotta check my production list.
Yeah, I don't know. We're always coming up with ideas and then forgetting to implement them.
I've got a bunch of things just out on my desk here, so I have like 30 post-it notes everywhere.
I want us to bring back the raid train graphics that we used to have.
Oh yeah. That's actually on here. We used to, for raids, we would hit a button and change to a different scene, but it was like the codec call from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh.
And so I would be Snake and she would be Otacon, and she would tell me about the Raiders. And it would play the music. It had like the grainy video over each one. It was really, really slick.
That's so good.
But it requires, I need to come up with a lower profile way to use it in terms of memory usage before I bring it back, because it was hefty.
I can imagine. Yeah, sounds like a lot of effects
happening
at once.
We love coming up with stuff like that. That's where the creativity for streaming is for us. So
yeah, and a lot of it is like, because I do have a graphic design degree, so I can just make weird stuff. We had way back, we had this salmon, and it would get really long when it was the raid train, and as you each year, it was just a really, really long salmon that I designed. It would just get longer and longer,
like the fish, like
the fish. We're from the PNW, so it's all about salmon here.
Oh, of course.
When Twitch introduced the raid trains, originally we had a little train that would appear on screen.
Cute.
And then we thought, randomly one day we were just like, wouldn't it be fun if we just replaced it with a fish without telling anybody? And so we just replaced it with like this salmon that would come out from the edge of the screen and get longer and longer and longer the more on the screen it was.
That's so funny.
And that was good. So basically, all this stuff just boils down to one thing. And streamers, if you're looking to save any money, investing in the production on your stream, just marry a graphic designer. That's my biggest tip.
LOL. Just marry a graphic designer.
Just marry a graphic designer.
It's that easy.
It's like streaming on easy mode.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, our podcast is talking all about doing good with what you have, and you two really do bring that to both your streams. Just your like specific skill sets. And like I mentioned earlier, how you two balance each other out and support one another for your streams. It really is phenomenal to watch.
Yeah.
I think I could speak for us both a little bit when I say, first, thank you. That's maybe the best compliment we've ever gotten.
Aww.
And number two, it's just sort of fun to think about it from a scrappy perspective.
Right.
And it's like that part at the beginning of the RPG when like you have the basic equipment, you're like, I wonder how much I can stretch this stuff out.
Right.
Or like the beginning of Stardew when you're just like laying out your farm and like, it's like the fun part of the game, and you can sort of learn to use that while streaming if that's what you enjoy doing. And I just sort of feel like we've been there a long time, and it feels good to be doing that together. So.
And I think that's the really nice thing about streaming and doing good with what you have. Like, you get to learn more from all the experiences you have. You're always continuously learning more.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Direct Relief Connect podcast that you guested on that came out last week. It was a really good episode.
It was.
But you also had a good comment about the creative side of streaming and how you as a streamer get to learn those skills, and you're doing that yourself. It's not like the Julia Child. Or I guess it is more similar. It's not as produced as cooking shows that we see now. And then you're also able to interact with your audience and answer their questions about cooking in real time. And there's just something about that personable aspect of it that's so unique. And I think that's why I really like watching cooking streams versus watching a cooking show where everything's overproduced and like everything's like you see some stuff pre-diced up, but then they're like, hey, you have like 10 minutes to make this and we need it plated beautifully, or like I don't know, I like,
or you do that switch around, right, where it's like, now we'll put it in the oven, but I'm going to show you the one that I've already made. And I'm like, that's like, cheating,
right?
It's sort of a dishonest way to try and get people to cook. Because you're not showing the struggle, you're not showing the hard part, you're not showing, and so it's like the Julia Child example I brought up on the Direct Relief podcast was actually it's one I quote quite frequently because it's perfect. But the early days of The French Chef, which was one of the first shows she did, they couldn't afford an editor, right? So every mess up that she made on that show made it to broadcast. And so you can look these up on YouTube. I suggest everyone check it out. Julia Child, like omelet flip, Julia Child fallen cake, all kinds of stuff. And
Julia.
It's just, she knew in that moment that it was going to be on the broadcast, and she'll go into this 2-minute diatribe about like, oh well, I just didn't flip with confidence. You know,
I love
that's what
that.
happens when you don't flip with confidence. It's so endearing, and
Yeah.
it's so much more like, I guess, honest and relatable than, you know, two people on Chopped. Like, you need to cook on a ladder for some reason. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, it's just I like it the old way better myself. So
We need an edit supercut with one of those to a screen just saying Julia makes a mess. After
Right.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
Add to the list.
Yeah.
Add that to the list.
Let's go.
Glad we could inspire.
All
I guess that leads me to a question for you too. Is there like any very specific, memorable failure or mess up that you had, or like something didn't turn out as you imagined or envisioned? I mean, I guess it sounds like one of the recent ones that you mentioned was the cauliflower pizza for Amanda, but just not a fan of. Was it a cauliflower crust that you're not a fan of? Or?
Cauliflower crust. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just need the actual carbs. I'm not fooled.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's one of those things, like nobody can accurately pretend that cauliflower pizza is the same.
Of course.
But is it close enough to scratch the itch? And that's I'm much more forgiving on that than Amanda is. But
I'm with you. Yeah.
She also grew up in an Italian-American household, so what do I know?
Yeah, I know Romscout is diabetic, so he was interested in trying the cauliflower crust.
The amount of resources out there now for people on special diets is so cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of my colleagues are working their channels to sort of provide additional information for people that are diabetic or people that are doing gluten-free or vegan, and it's really, really neat to see that. And it's kind of nice being on like the sort of the cresting wave of technology on this type of food entertainment, because you know, these people are writing recipes that are going to help people eat the food they want to eat, and it's kind of cool to see that. So
yeah, I guess I'm trying to think about any particular failures, in charity streaming. Like, I don't really know if it was a failure. It was like more that we just didn't reach our goal exactly, but we wanted to go ahead and do a 12-hour marathon streaming Stardew Valley and see if we could get married to each other.
Yeah.
Aww.
And we wound up getting very close,
yeah.
But we did not get it within the 12-hour period. And it was kind of one of those things that was sort of a bummer. But we also like kind of learned stuff from it, because we're like, okay, like, because we hadn't played Stardew in a while, so we just got too excited about just playing the game and wasted too much time with that. And we also realized like an excellent way to make it even better for charity streaming was to be able to have people like donate to help and hurt us, which I think they put that in with the crowd control. They have that now, which I don't know if they do it. I don't know if they have it for multiplayer, but I'm like, it's so smart, because like if somebody wants to help you get to a goal, they can like donate to help with that. So that was like kind of like very like, oh well, now we know if we want to do this again, like how to kind of like what we learned from it. And we still had fun. But we were very tired at the end, and we're like, well, at least we're still married in real life. We still got that.
I was gonna say, when you said like, oh, the goal is to get married, I thought we were talking about real life. I'm like, whoa, what? That's sounds
like next
crazy
level content right there.
Right?
Hey, if we reach this,
that Amanda didn't mention the angel food cake just now. So.
Oh no.
The lesson from that is if you ever are like, should I not buy a particular shaped pan for my cake and just make one up?
I tried to make my own tube pan using a cake pan and an empty can of beans, and it did not work.
Don't do that. just spend the $12 for the bunt can.
I thought I was bad at cake pan, but empty can of beans was really
empty can of beans in the center.
Oh, you like put them together?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like you had leftover dough or something, so you were like, whatever, let's throw it in the can of beans and throw that in the oven too.
Oh my god.
To be fair, that does sound like something I would try. I'm not the best baker, so.
Oh, me neither. Once something is in the oven, it's not in your hands anymore.
Yep.
And if you goofed, you've goofed. I've pulled out something from the oven, and it's like, it was supposed to be cookies, and it was just like a bunch of liquid. I'm like, oh no.
I've done that before.
Whereas versus on a stove, you can kind of see how it's going, and you can save, you can taste as you go, you can alter, but baking is not my friend.
It's rough. Like so specific compared to cooking. Like it's like you have to like get things right. I've tried to do that. I really love the like swirled like Swiss roll kind of cakes that have like the roll, and trying to get that is so tough because if you overcook it, it'll crack. If you undercook it, it's liquid.
Yeah.
And that's like the sort of thing where I'm like, it's like so much easier just to make like rice and beans. Those won't betray me in the same way this cake will.
You could overcook those by like 40 minutes and they are exactly the same.
It's just fried rice, you know?
Yeah.
For sponge cake, it's like literally like 90 seconds can make or break the cake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't live with that kind of level of stress.
Yeah.
I think it's like stuff like souffle. You have to like mix the ingredients at a precise temperature. I'm like, I can't. That's too much for me.
It's why shows like the Great British Baking Show, right, are like so popular, because baking is like a mathematic equation. You know, cooking, you're on a stovetop, whatever. You know, you're making stir fry and you're like, should I put this in? Who cares? Is this gonna cook for 5 minutes too long? Who cares? But yeah, it's mathematic. You know, there's like equations.
And that show especially was really good at letting you know like kind of the science and technique, which is why I love that show, because it was very big on like actually teaching you. Which is another thing I really like about doing cooking streams, is you get to kind of talk about the teaching element, and like get into that. And I'm like, that's like way more interesting to me than the drama of the cake not working out. I'm like, I just want to know like, well, how do you make the cake work out? And like, that's way more involved for me.
Oh yeah, I very much agree.
As we like to say on our channel, you can measure garlic with your heart, but you have to measure flour with a scale.
That's so good. I measure garlic with my heart. Trust me.
Oh, same. You can never have too much garlic.
That's awesome.
So we're nearing the end of our podcast, but very, very special day. It is Amanda's birthday. So I know there is a stream happening after that we are going to raid. So absolutely, friends should stick around for that. But before that, I'd like to ask you two if you have anything else exciting coming up, anything else to promo.
For sure.
Please go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, coming up next, the 6th of August, I will be doing a front page stream for Direct Relief. Very excited about that. It sounds like we're sort of doing like Japanese street foods that day, so we're going to be doing some taiyaki and takoyaki and that sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
And then that weekend is going to be my Direct Relief campaign, so we're going to be raising money for a couple of days for them. We have just hit 1 year this coming week with our podcast. So,
wow. Oh my gosh.
Somehow kept up with weekly updates for a year, which is fantastic. So congratulations to Chris for paying attention for that long.
So if you're someone who doesn't know, it's called the live feed, and you should go subscribe. It's all about cooking and just different forms of Twitch streaming that aren't gaming, and you guys have some phenomenal travel stories in that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. We're two people that happen to have traveled a lot, and so sometimes we'll just get distracted and dive in on like, you know, oh well, when you were in Southeast Asia, did you ever do this? Like, yeah, that was really fun. You know, so
I mean, that's good content, right?
That stuff. And then we do talk about food a lot, and also creative live streaming that may or may not involve games. So we talk to fiber art streamers, crafters, cosplayers, musicians, all those folks. So it's a good time.
It's awesome.
And it's not immediate, but coming up in the fall, we've got a cookbook project that is going to be charity related. So keep an ear out for that.
Is that all we're allowed to know at this point in time?
Well, I'll tease a little bit here, and this is an exclusive. We haven't actually done this on our own podcast yet, but so it's going to be recipes written by 10 to 15 cooking streamers, and it's going to be, the theme is childhood favorites. So,
aww, that's so cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be raiding Monostache. It is her birthday, so we don't normally do this while we're recording an episode, but I want to keep to the spirit of community building, and I want everyone who is watching and who sticks around to wish Monostache a happy birthday in your raid message, and just hang out, stick around, build a community,
Yeah.
enjoy the type of stuff that you get to see her do, you'll actually be able to see those phenomenal just alerts and everything in action, because
Right.
God, those are way beyond my head. I have no idea how to do that type of stuff on Twitch.
I actually need to redo mine because like I just keep doing commissions and I just keep ignoring redoing my own stream. But I'm actually going to be doing a big rebranding, so I'm excited about that.
Ooh.
Awesome.
So thank you all for watching. Please follow us on Spotify
Or
listen to our
wherever,
episodes.
wherever you get your pods.
Apple Podcasts. I know
We're on
Amazon has
there.
podcasts now too.
And if you're listening on Apple, drop a review as well, would you?
Oh, you can do
Yes.
that? Oh my god.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
You're a better host
it's
than
a really
me.
nice thing. It's a really nice thing for our podcast. It gets us actually noticed and seen, and it
Yeah.
reminds people that it's never too late to become a first-time donor.
How clever.
Yo, that was a very good segue. I'm popping off on that
That
one.
was
so good.
That was
Good,
A
well
plus right there.
That was
A+.
excellent.
Your outro queen. Let's go.
Wow. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for watching. Be
Thank
sure to
you.
join the raid.
And the message is happy birthday, Amanda.
Woo!
Woo!
Thank you so much for letting us interview you too.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for
much.
having
Leon,
us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.